Oh, there you are, YouTube. Okay, today is December 4th. What are we watching?
The Santa Claus.
Ooh,
You guys
awesome.
can watch that.
Yeah, you can watch that one.
Awesome.
I want it.
Okay.
That one's so
My
funny.
turn. My turn.
And in your advent calendar, you got like a little deer
Yeah.
in a stocking cap. Look at that tiny little body with that big head. So we're at the part where he's delivering gifts, and the kids really love his sleigh and reindeer. So they've used their coloring table to make a sleigh and one of their kid toys that they ride, like a horse, and they've used that as their reindeer. And you guys are gonna play Santa, aren't you? And deliver some toys. So that was the kids' first time watch of the Santa Claus. Sort of. I mean, I don't know. Basically, once they saw Santa's sleigh, they got the idea to make their own, and then they played with that while the movie was going, really not paying attention at all to the film. And then they started playing in their playroom, then their room, I don't know, back and forth. So it was basically like, they really didn't watch it. They watched the opening, and that was sort of it. But they like sort of slowed down at the end of the movie, and then it said like during the credits to watch the Santa Clauses, which is basically, so you have the sequel movies, but then Disney Plus made this sequel show, and I was like, I'm interested in that, because I really wasn't that big into the sequel movies, but from what I've seen with the like trailers, I was wanting to watch the Santa Clauses. I just don't think we'll have enough time to watch it all, but we did have some episodes on, but again, I don't know, you're with the two kids running around, it's hard to pay attention. So I don't know, maybe we got through like 3 episodes, but it was tough keeping with what was going on. I have a small understanding of where the show's going, but yeah, I would have to start it over if I wanted to watch it seriously, because it was just sort of background noise a lot of the time. But the original Santa Claus, loved that. I remember my dad took me to that, and I think it was part of one of his like holiday like work Christmas parties. They would always rent out a movie theater and then have a bunch of movies available to watch, and it was like new releases. We always saw new releases, and that was the one for that year. I believe that's how we watched it. That's my memory anyway. But that was really cool, because sometimes the theater would have the movie, but it wouldn't be released yet. So we would get like advanced screenings of movies that hadn't come out yet. And that's what happened with Mrs. Doubtfire. I saw Mrs. Doubtfire before it came out, because the theater had it, and it was available to watch during this Christmas party that my dad had. So that was pretty cool. Let's see, what else? Yeah, I don't know. I think Tim Allen's hilarious. I know everybody knows him, but for some reason I still feel like he's underrated. Like, underrated as an icon of the 90s, maybe. We just don't talk about it very much. I don't know why. But maybe it's just because everything he did was sort of like family-oriented, and not everything was good. But like, when it comes to Toy Story and the Santa Claus, I mean, and Home Improvement, I mean, he was a huge part of a 90s childhood. If you were a kid of the 90s, like, huge part. But nobody sort of venerates him in the way that they do with other people from the 90s, which is kind of interesting. But I think he's really funny. I haven't watched any of his other new shows, like, what is it? Last Man Standing, I think is what it is. I don't know. It didn't really seem like a show I would get into, so I didn't watch that. But the stuff from the 90s I think is great, and I love this movie so much. I think he is so funny. He has so many great jokes in it. I remember my dad teaching me about what a lot of the jokes meant. Growing up, my dad was a single dad, so he always loved that scene when like when I was growing up. My dad was a single dad for a while, and until he remarried. But I remember him sort of explaining the scene with like the Denny's scene, and like all the dads that are at Denny's with their, like all the single fathers who are there at Denny's, divorced fathers I should say, that are at Denny's with their kids, and it's like because they don't know how to cook, you know, the one guy like burned his hand and everything, and my dad just always got a kick out of that. He thought that was so good. He also liked that movie with Paul Reiser and Matthew Modine and Randy Quaid called Bye Bye Love. That was about divorced fathers with their kids. He liked that movie a lot too, which is funny. I don't think it has a good rating, but it's really good. But yeah, I think the Santa Claus is great. I think, you know, maybe next year, the year after, we'll set the kids down to watch it in a more serious manner, because we just kind of turned it on. We didn't like make a big deal of it like we did Home Alone yesterday. But, you know, I think this will be one that they will eventually like. My wife and I like it. It's been in our calendar since the beginning also. I'll end this video with some images of when we... some images of this movie showing up in past calendars, because we've been doing this Advent calendar thing for almost 10 years now. I think we started the Christmas calendar our first year of marriage, and you know, we'd post the pictures, friends and family and stuff like that, and now I brought it over to YouTube. But yeah, so I'll put in some pictures of some past the Santa Claus films popping up in our Advent calendar. I'll probably use one for the thumbnail as well, so you've probably already seen that one. But anyway, what do you think of the Santa Claus? Do you like it? What do you think about Tim Allen and sort of being forgotten as like a 90s staple? Or is he not? Am I wrong on that? I don't know. But anyway, thank you so much for watching, and perhaps I'll see you tomorrow for more Pure Hangout.